Gossipnista here, your one and only source into the real lives of New Yorkers and what it's like to live in New York City. So is it all glitz and glamour? Where do you start? What should you know? And who am I? I'll tell you everything you need to know, and you'll thank me for it. Xoxo, Gossipnista. Hello, and welcome to the Gossipnista podcast. I'm your host, Mariana Monks. Thanks so much for joining me for this special edition of Halloween in New York. If you've ever wondered what happens in New York City on Hallows Eve and where you'll find city dwellers, better yet, real ghosts, plus love all things superstitious and looking for a good scare, then this is the episode for you. There's no fluff in this interview with my friendly ghost guest, Damien, whose last name will not be revealed for anonymity, as he does not hold back on sharing a once riveting New York City, which most of us would actually find scary today, his ghost encounters, and all the superstitions you should be aware of. You'll definitely get some goosebumps. We'll get a little woo-woo, like Oprah likes to say, and you may or may not hear Oprah in this episode. Enjoy this interview with Damien. Damien, thanks for being with me today. Truly appreciate your time. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Of course. Now, Damien, a question that I love to start off with all our guests is, are you originally from New York? Are you a native?
I am from upstate New York originally.
Okay. Upstate New York, where in upstate?
Sin City.
Wait, where's Sin City?
Utica, New York.
Okay, Utica, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so then originally a New Yorker then, and so when did you move to the city?
Right after high school.
Really?
Yes.
What made you make that decision?
When I was a teenager and certainly heard of New York City, I just knew it would be for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I knew at age 13 that I would live in Alphabet City.
Wow.
And as soon as I graduated high school, I moved to Alphabet City.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew from a young age.
I did.
Oh, that's amazing.
I did.
Okay. So then you made it happen. And what neighborhood did you land on?
Alphabet City.
Wait, so I'm not from New York. So, and people listening may not know Alphabet City. Mm-hmm. So tell us what Alphabet City is.
Alphabet City is in the Village.
Mm-hmm.
The Village will run from Houston Street to 14th Street. From the Hudson River, West Village, Greenwich Village, Washington Square Park, East Village, Alphabet City, East River.
Oh,
It
wow.
is a very small community.
Okay.
Avenue A, Avenue B, Avenue C, and Avenue D is what makes up the alphabets.
Okay.
When I moved here, Avenue A was Aware, B, Beware, C, Caution, D, Dead.
Oh my gosh.
I lived on Avenue D in a 3,500 square foot loft.
Whoa.
New York will never see those days again.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Every night when I walked home from work, if it should be raining, rats the size of cats zigzagging across the street.
Oh my gosh.
Same heroin dealer on the same corner every night.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
a silent agreement. We never said one word to one another.
Okay.
I would nod to him. He would nod to me.
Uh-huh.
I didn't call the police on him.
Mm-hmm.
He made sure I got to my front door safe. And I did. I think about how I would get up into my loft and proceed to swing on the swing in the front of my loft.
Oh my goodness.
when I think of that today.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is a fascinating story. I mean, to have lived during, those times when you were seeing all this, and had to go through this, because New York has changed a lot, right?
Drastically.
Right.
It is not the city that I knew and loved.
Oh, you loved it back then more so than you do today.
It was riveting.
Oh.
Nothing short of riveting to live here.
You're giving me goosebumps.
I could remember having lived in the Alphabets 3-4 years, going home to my family, where I feel very fortunate, blessed that they are a car, train, bus, or plane. I've done it all. Home.
Okay.
I do in 45 minutes on a plane. I don't have to travel to the other side of our country. For that, I felt very fortunate in the sense that I lived a city life, but went home to the country.
Oh, wow. The best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I'm going to probe a little deeper into what you said. It was riveting. What time frame would you say this was?
Well, I remember after visiting my family, the taxi would hit Avenue A. You must remember when I first moved here, you were lucky if a yellow cab would take you to Avenue A.
Oh, wow.
If they were willing to take you to Avenue A, I can guarantee you it would be no further. For you could not get a cab on Avenue B, C, or D.
Wow. Okay. So, and this was like the 90s, the 80s?
I moved here in 1986.
Okay, 1986. And then so...
Yes, Madonna had just pulled herself up from her bra straps. In fact, I could see where she lived just before becoming famous. Her bra still hung at the garage on Avenue B and 2nd Street, where she last performed before making it big.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, everybody talked about her. Everybody knew her.
Really? Yes. Oh my gosh. And she's not in town anymore.
Oh, she certainly is. She now lives on the Upper East Side.
No way. Oh, yes, we talked about this. Okay, we'll get into that a little bit later. Well, thank you for sharing. Sure. And so, technically, where you're living today, is it still Alphabet City? Okay. But it's known more so as the East Village?
I suppose.
You suppose?
I remember Prince singing a song about it. I remember the movie I watched at 13 that made me want to move to Alphabet City.
I love it.
I knew it would be for me.
You've been committed to Alphabet City. I love it. I love it very much. You kind of shared a little bit about what your experience has been like in New York, but can you go a little bit deeper into it? Like overall, what has the essence and experience of being in New York been?
Well, first of all, being in New York City, they say the greatest city in the world. If you can't find it here, you won't find it anywhere.
Right.
If you can't make it here, you won't make it anywhere.
Yes.
So I started New York City first.
And you've never left, right?
I have.
You have?
I have left New York City 5 times.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I have moved back into New York City, total of 6 times altogether in my life. That is a true New Yorker.
That's a true New Yorker, really?
I truly feel I'm a New Yorker through and through.
Of course. And nobody would argue. I would say that 100%.
Always in a New York state of mind.
Yes. Again.
No matter where I have lived.
Of course.
If you connect to this city, you will never leave it.
Wow. That's profound.
And I am not speaking just of myself. It is from the very many people that I have spoken to over the many years that I have lived here.
Okay. That's good to know. I'll keep that at heart. So, I just kind of want to go into a little bit more about, what specific things do you like about the city and what do you dislike about the city?
My likes. Bike riding Sunday morning through the city. Stopping off at Gramercy Park for either a coffee, something to eat. On that Sunday morning. Sunday morning is the quietest morning out of the week.
Yeah. Okay.
New Yorkers will come to life at noon.
Oh my gosh, it's funny you say that because I always come out in the morning. I'm a morning person and I don't see New Yorkers alive in the morning as much.
The traffic is light. I can zigzag on my bike, which I love to do. It's a beautiful morning in the city. Thursday night is New Yorkers' night out. We have so many New Yorkers And then we have all of our tourists. And on the weekends, all of New Jersey, all of Connecticut, and downstate New York.
Yep.
Thursday night is New Yorkers' night out.
Really? Oh, good to know. Nobody had told me that. Okay, that I will be out on Thursday night. There is certain nights of the city that I go out and I'm like, why is it so like happening tonight? And it is a weekday and I'm thinking it's Thursday. So you're 100% right on that. So, okay, so that's something you like.
Yes.
What do you dislike?
Waiting in lines. The sterilization. How sterile the city has become. How opulent it has become. I am someone that believes in a balance in every aspect of life.
Right.
I fear that this city has lost the balance.
Oh no, why? Why do you say that?
I think of young struggling artists coming in. How could they afford to live here?
Yes.
Let's think about the art scene in Paris. It's no longer in Paris, it's in New York. If young, struggling artists can't afford to move into the city to create, is the art scene going to leave the city?
Right. And that's what makes the city.
When I moved to the city, art was everywhere.
So then you feel that, the city has changed in that sense, the arts, the culture, and being able to
very much
just
so.
Invite new people into the city.
Very much so.
Do you feel the pandemic has had anything to do with this at all?
It was pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic?
So no, the pandemic is going to have a different outcome, but I do not believe that going into it.
It was already there.
Yes.
Okay. And do you think the outcome of the pandemic, what are your thoughts on it? Like, what is it going to be better for New York, or just curious to hear your thoughts on all the change that it's happened?
Well, I'm going to have to say 2022, New York City's lease is up.
What does that mean? What does that mean in 2022?
The city will have a cycle every 12 years.
And that's 2022.
From 1986, it would be 1998.
Okay.
In 1998, a regime came through the city and began the sterilization.
Oh, okay.
Now, I think it's great that we are such a green city. We had a whale swim up the Hudson River a couple of years ago for the first time in over 200 years.
Right.
Seahorses living under the Ferenzano Bridge.
Right.
Clean water. To see a tree-lined street in Alphabet City, you did not.
Wow.
Other than 6th Street between A and B, which we often walked over just to take in the trees.
Wow. Okay.
If you went to the water, which New Yorkers in 1986 did not do,
right,
unless it was to smoke a joint and look for a dead body.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We did not go to the water.
Wow.
There were no trees, garbage, debris. I remember somebody, while I was looking for an apartment, said they're giving them away down in Battery Park City. I said, I'm a New Yorker. I want concrete, not the water. Yeah, big mistake.
Really?
Today, New York City's number one real estate is the waterfront.
Wow.
It is full of trees and flowers. Never has the city been more beautiful. I remember seeing RuPaul for the first time perform on the stage at the Pyramid on Avenue A. It was Blondie, Deborah Harry, that was standing next to me, and a few of my friends.
Okay.
RuPaul came out through the roof with his wig on. He said to the audience, I am RuPaul. And we were all like, oh, okay. And he said, and this is opulence.
Wow.
We went dead silent, standing in our cutoff rags and jeans, looking at each other. But he was positive and brilliant from the get-go. He never lost sight of it.
Wow.
And he fulfilled all of his dreams.
Yeah, definitely.
So it certainly can be done in this city. And that, I believe, is what attracts people. the opportunity
Yep.
that this city will offer you.
Yep.
Now, in saying that, when meeting someone in New York, even if you get the bad vibe, with grace, you meet them, and it is with grace that you leave them. If you didn't like them, don't go back to them.
Right.
But leave gracefully.
Oh, that's such great advice.
Very, very important. For I do know from life, as you go up the ladder, coming down, you will see these people again.
Gossipnista here. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. I wanted to hop in here to ask that if you haven't yet, if you could please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast wherever you listen. This will help me reach more people and spread the word about New York City and those who love it. And if you want to stay up to date, be sure to follow @Gossipnista Podcast on Instagram. Now, back to the show. We've had a great first segment with you sharing your New York story and giving us all that advice in regards to Alphabet City and, the liveliness of it. We're going to move on to our next segment now, if you don't mind. Is there anything I may have missed on your story part that you want to share?
I think that's enough.
You think that's enough?
I could go on and on. I think that's enough.
And I could keep asking you questions, but
sure.
Okay, so the next segment, I like to kind of just dive a little deeper into your background, your work background more specifically. What was your calling in regards to work, and then how you ended up, because we're going to be focusing more so specifically with the New York ghost tours.
I came to study acting.
Okay.
Which I did.
Great.
Started out washing hair at a beauty salon, chain beauty salon here in New York.
Yeah.
And then went to waiting tables.
Okay.
Waiting tables was like a junkie back in the day.
Oh, wow.
You made good tips, all cash, all went in your pocket, and you took it all home after tipping out your busboys.
Of course.
I was very fortunate. No college education. I would take extra steps. How important it is for New Yorkers, especially, but this is for everyone in general, to take an extra step. When the owner of the restaurant said to me on lunch shifts, which I worked 5 days a week, wash the tables with water and bleach. I want you to start. I said to him, I always start by washing the tables with water and bleach. At the end of the day, I wiped every ketchup bottle, every mustard bottle, every jam, salt, pepper, oil, and vinegar, and put them back, all labels facing out the same way. The owner of the business had to fire the manager and needed a new one.
Oh, wow.
And at 25 years old, I became the general manager of the establishment.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
From there, I turned the establishment 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Wow.
Very, very successfully.
Wow.
The owner of the business said, my business has never made so much money. I'm going away for 2 months. You're in charge.
Oh, man.
Which I did find very daunting.
Really?
At that time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I would have to walk with cash through the alphabets to the bank.
Oh, no.
And that alone made
really?
Made me back in the day, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
My bus boys could not go past Avenue B.
Okay.
I heard from all of the clients how pretty and beautiful 7th Street between C and D is. I knew that.
Yeah.
But I could not send them past Avenue B.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And so you worked there for how long, you said?
Oh, several years.
Several years.
Yes.
Okay. And then initially came here for acting. What led you into New York ghost tours?
When I was 19 years old, my mother remarried. Her husband bought her a home, over 200 years old.
Whoa.
It was built in 1797.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
Certainly is. And I remember one night calling my lifelong best friend while I made something to eat and very swiftly turned. For I very heavily felt the weight of a stare.
Wow.
My mother would say, there's an odor in this room that I cannot put my finger on. It was her front rooms. Weeks later, my mother came to me. Do you ever feel the weight of a stare in this house?
Your mom said that?
I said, yes, Mom. Yes, I have. Now you have to understand, my mother is a staunch Catholic. She devoted her life to the parish life. She believes in nothing but God.
Okay. So
from there, my mother would say, but I swear I closed the French doors to my room. And in the morning when they wake, the doors were open.
Oh, wow.
One night, I came home about 3 a.m. in the morning, and as I laid in my bed and closed my eyes, I opened my eyes to a man standing just a couple of feet away from me.
Wow.
Although he was very detailed, specifically I could tell you what he was wearing and what he looked like. I could see right through him.
What?
He was extremely distraught.
Okay.
And at that point, I sunk into the mattress. I could feel my whole body sink into the mattress. He was screaming for help. However, I could not hear him.
Okay.
He then raised his arms to me and continued very distraughtly, screaming for help.
Oh my gosh.
At that point, I looked to my left, and through my bedroom wall, a plaid skirt first, and then breast, and then a very beautiful oval-shaped face with very fine features. Bespoke dress. Her dress was bespoke. She was corseted. She was mixed African-American white, and her head wrap matched the material of her dress. It had a very small puff sleeve, a ruffled collar, string bow,
Wow.
3/4 length sleeve.
Those are details.
She floated through my wall, across my bedroom, in between the man and myself, now sitting on my bed. This woman, girl, had such dignity. I was 19 years old. I knew very little about African American history, but I knew she was no slave. She floated by me, her hands at her side. She never acknowledged me. She then floated straight across into and through my other bedroom wall. Skirt first, with just the last of the back of her skirt behind her, she vanished.
Wow. Okay. So
at this point, I truly thought nervous breakdown. At 19 years old, this is what it's got to be. How could I have?
Yeah, like what just happened?
I called for my mother. She came up. My mother could not see me. She wanted to know what drugs I did, how much I drank. She could not see him.
Oh, him. Okay.
Yes, him. Sorry. And she wanted to know how much I drank, if I did drugs. I was like, no. And she said, you're going to get me divorced. She went downstairs. The next day, I talked to a parapsychologist, Buffalo University, Syracuse University, Utica College. And they all told me that I was very blessed. I could assure you at that time I did not think so. That I had the gift of sight and sense, but I did not have sound. And this is why I could not hear the man screaming for help.
Oh, wow.
I was then told that he came to me for a reason and that he will come to me again. When he appears to you again, you tell him to go into the light, that it's okay to go into the light. It is where he will be safe. You repeat it until you see it no more. Okay. And the second night, I had a cousin stay with me. She was absolutely petrified.
I'm sure.
She could see the phone on my nightstand move ever so slowly as something, I don't know what, pulled the cord taut. She then saw the African American girl over my laundry basket, that the towel was moving.
Wow.
Now, I could see her bent over my basket. She could not, but she could see a towel moving. At this point, my cousin was absolutely petrified.
Did she run out?
No, she stayed with me, but she was petrified, I have to say. I never saw the man again.
Really?
Okay. Truly. Okay. And I do believe that I was able to release him. As far as the He was a ghost for ghosts or someone who passes on, however, does not pass over.
Right.
Spirit, someone who passes on and passes over. And they don't, but I know, acknowledge someone, although you may be able to see them. A spirit just goes about their, let's say, daily routine or part of it.
And she was a spirit then?
She never acknowledged me. She did not have feet.
Oh.
And I could not understand that. Working in London, I told somebody what I saw, and right after I told them, a customer came in and said, well, you know when you see a spirit when they don't have feet. I was shocked. Now, I don't know exactly how true it is. I only know it to be true from what I saw.
Okay.
I have often thought of this dignified girl, her beauty, the way she held herself as she floated by. And I did some research.
Okay.
Her name was Ginny. She was between the ages of 14 and 25.
Okay.
She was known in the town as the colored slave servant of Deerfield. Ginny lived in the basement. The bread oven upon which she baked the family's bread is still there.
Wow.
She was the nanny to the 9 children, to the man that built the house. She worked a glass factory on the 10 acres of land.
Okay.
The glass factory 200 years ago is left with just the border. It said where she was buried. However, the cemetery is no longer there.
Okay.
What Ginny was doing, I have also found out in research, many historians have called the house as of late. Ginny was an agent. My mother's house, a station. I believe where this odor that my mother spoke of came from, next to the chimney, there was a bookshelf at the bottom doors. If you opened the doors and crawled through, you could stand up in a room next to the fireplace.
Really?
Ginny would take the runaway slaves and hide them in this room. The eldest son of the family that lived in the house, in a handwritten journal that you can obtain today, described how the eldest son put the runaway slaves in the back of the wagon, covered, and made many trips to Canada. And that was the Northern Star. I am proud to say out of the 62 counties in New York State, it was only Oneida County, where I am from, that if a runaway slave made it to Oneida, their master could not retrieve them.
Wow.
For Oneidians did not allow it.
That's great.
And there are stories written about this.
You come from such a rich history and background. Like that's...
It's funny. When you're the fish swimming around in the fish bowl, I don't think you really see the big picture. I always get a little chuckle.
Tell us exactly where this home was that you were talking about.
My mother's husband was town judge of Deerfield. It was his favorite house from childhood.
Okay. And because I'm not too sure where Deerfield is, that's New York, right? Or where is it?
Where the house is?
Yeah.
Deerfield, New York. That's as far as I'll go with that information.
Okay.
I do not want people driving by.
Of course. No. We just wanted to clarify the state, right? Sure. Thank you for that, David. That was a great story, and obviously a reason which led you to New York City ghost tours, right? Because you have encountered that in your life. You are gifted, is what you've been told.
That's what they tell me,
right?
But I find the funniest. My mother, who believes in nothing, has the gift of sense, for she was able to smell, feel the weight of a stare. And the reason my mother believes me today, she was home alone. She was dressing, and something passed through her body with a sound. Really? Caused every hair on her body to stand up. And with no window, door open, no air conditioning or fan on, what could have it been? Yeah. She immediately fled the house.
Kind of leading more into New York ghost tours and your path with it today. Can you tell us what that entails and what people can expect?
Okay, so It just so happens that I saw Ghost Tour Village. So I thought, ghosts live in the village. Maybe this would be a good tour for me.
Okay.
And so I did it. I personally think the walk alone of the tour is worth taking, let alone the history and the ghost stories that I had heard for decades before doing the tour. Let's say you're a tourist, first time here, you're staying in Times Square. Coming down to the village, starting in Washington Square Park under the Washington Arch, and walking through the neighborhood, a neighborhood that even New Yorkers get confused and lost in.
Wow.
For it is not a part of our grid. The grid comes into play under Mayor Clinton DeWitt, 1811.
Wow.
This neighborhood predates that.
Okay.
So it's early on. There is no grid.
Right.
It was built by the Brits, and little crescent streets, very small, intimate, zigzag cross one another. Very confusing it can be.
Very much so.
When they go into it, down Cherry Lane, they say to me, I wouldn't think I was in the same city. That's New York.
Yes. And I love that. I love that because I myself have done the tour and I recommend it highly, right? You took me down. It took me down lanes that I've never seen here in New York, in the village and surrounding areas. Cherry Lane, as you mentioned, I didn't even know I was in the same place, which is New York, right? Mass difference from Times Square. And I just fell in love with the city that much more. And that's what this provides.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it now. But in relation to, talking about ghosts more specifically, what are some of the ghost stories people can expect on this type of tour?
Well, our number one city ghost, by far, third vice president, Aaron Burr.
Okay.
A little of his history, part of his estate. He is the one that first of all, as I said, that neighborhood is one of the very oldest. So they say here in New York City, always they have said, it is the most haunted with its history and all. You can date the buildings there. If you look at the bricks on the colonials, you're going to see the long brick, short brick, long brick, short brick, predating 1820. They felt that it would make the walls stronger. Find out it does not.
Right.
And I believe 1830s, 1840, they go back to long brick. But it is interesting just that neighborhood alone, how old it is and its history.
Okay.
Charming.
People,
absolutely charming.
100%. And so when people come to the tours, right? Like what kind of people come? What people do you see?
Kinds of people.
Really? Tell us some stories.
People that are skeptics, that do not believe at all.
Okay.
Few people are gifted. I find them to have a hard time maybe in saying it, but some of them have been. We have businessmen. We have parapsychologists.
Wow.
Coming on. And I always enjoy that because when I speak to them, they seem to take me serious, which is not the usual I get.
Okay.
And they have been able to answer questions for me. For that, I really appreciate. They've stayed in touch with me. I have emailed them. They may as well.
That's amazing. So you make great connections with all types of walks of life that show up to the tour.
I'm here.
Yes, of course. And so what ghosts do you love most in New York? Talking and sharing about them.
I'm going to have to say Schwartz.
Schwartz. Okay, tell us about him.
Now, Schwartz lived here in the village last turn of the century with his beautiful wife. He was a soldier, World War I. He then became a volunteer at a firehouse. The same firehouse that puts out the fire at the shirtwaist factory. America's biggest, largest industrial fire. The city had never seen anything like it.
Wow.
This is predate water sprinklers and water drills and the mayhem that it cost. But he was one of the firemen to help put that fire out that Saturday afternoon. His wife was having an affair.
Oh.
Left him for the other man. Schwartz went on the top floor of the firehouse and hung himself. We know this through a medium.
Oh, wow.
For 1960, when the firehouse becomes a legit firehouse here in the city, many things occur. Walking of footsteps on the staircase, something being dragged across the top floor. One of the firemen reports a man heavy with a beard going down the fire pole, going through a hole that no human could possibly go through.
Oh, wow.
I have been told by many parapsychologists, spirits can take any shape, form, size, or color. If this is to be true, I would imagine that's how he would done it.
Right.
If the bell went off, often one of the firemen would feel a pat on his back. Nothing evil, rather encouraging, but not the norm.
Wow.
It was the man waking up in the middle of the night with a heavy-set man, bearded, bent over him, looking down at him, that they brought the medium in, and she was able to give them this information.
That is scary. Okay, so this was at the firehouse.
Yes.
Okay, he hung himself there.
On the 4th floor.
Okay, well, that's a great story, and thank you for sharing that, Damien. Okay, so in regards to New York City ghost tours, is there anything I may have left out or that you'd like to share in regards to them?
During this pandemic, the company felt with so many people possibly wanting to come in for a visit that will not due to the pandemic, they have done a virtual tour.
Oh, wow. Okay. So then not only, can people who live in the city actually just come and explore the New York City ghost tours, but you can also, if you don't live here and you want to experience New York ghosts, you can do it virtually.
Yeah, you can. If you were to go to Ghost Flicks, this will allow you to watch the ghost tour from home live.
Ghost Flicks. How do you spell that? Let's see.
That is Ghost Flicks, all one word, Flix.
Perfect. All right. So there you go, guys. You guys can check it out that way.
Yep. There's a place to purchase our doll, Lily, as well, if you wanted to.
Okay.
It's all there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All the information.
But I highly recommend in person because I love the in-person with you.
Well, in person, you're in New York City.
Yes.
Yes, it would be a completely different experience.
Yes. Gossipnista here. Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far with my friendly ghost, Damien. I wanted to hop in here to give you more information in regards to the New York ghost tours. You can find them at usghostadventures.com. And as Damien mentioned, you could have a virtual tour by going to Ghost Flicks. That's Flix.com. Now remember to tip your friendly ghost when going on these tours, and you might just encounter my friend, Damien. Now, back to the show. So Damien, thank you for sharing, your background as to where you started here in New York and where you're at and all the fun ghost stories. I kind of want to dive a little deeper into that because in the spirit of Halloween and ghosts, I would love to get some tips for the audience on some spooky things. And just overall in your, New York residency, can you just paint a picture of what New York looks like during Halloween specifically?
I can.
Okay. Please.
And I'm going to start with white walls.
Whoa. Okay.
Big bowl of chocolate.
Uh-huh.
Door bolted and locked.
Oh my goodness.
As soon as it gets dark.
Uh-huh.
And B horror flick movies on my television.
Okay.
If you were to call me Halloween, you're going to hear some high-pitched screams in the background.
Oh my gosh.
For I never go out on Halloween.
Really?
Never. Not once in all the years here in New York City.
What?
I will turn my television on, and this year they're showing us the Halloween parades from years past, being it was canceled, and I will be watching that.
Yes.
It is just this year that I found out that someone that I've known, Basil, who did the puppets for the Broadway show The Addams Family, drops an enormous spider at the Jefferson Market building on 6th Avenue, one of my very favorite buildings in New York City. Today, New York Public Library, everything free.
Wow.
But atop of this tower stands my friend Basil dropping this huge black spider.
Right.
It runs down the building and runs back up.
That's awesome.
Since 1992, and I never knew until this year that he did that.
No way.
It is the biggest in our country. It brings in a lot of people.
Okay.
If I dress up, it's to play a character and walk out onto a stage.
Okay.
And not trick-or-treating.
Okay.
I'm not good with big crowds.
Oh, really?
That's what it...
That's
that
interesting.
and masks, not a fan.
Okay.
So I do much better at home. I'm content watching it through the television screen.
Okay. Thank you for painting that picture for us.
It is the village, and I'm going to tell you when it comes back next year, our parades have seemed to change slightly, maybe a little shorter, a new route for this is the new New York. So I'm sure when it comes back next year, it will still be 6th Avenue, but it might have a bit of a different route. But boy, does it attract a lot of people.
Yeah, I've seen photos
so
of those
the
parades.
village will be a little crazy Halloween night. We do not give tours normally on Halloween night.
Okay.
The company feels with all of the people, how could we? This year, we have many bookings for There Is No Parade.
Wow. So you are doing Halloween New York tours?
Many of them.
We're
all on. I'm doing 2 on Saturday night.
Okay.
I have just asked the company if maybe they would consider starting next year when the parade is back on, whatever time that parade starts, just before could we fit a tour in.
Right.
Because although it's still maybe daylight, I believe people will still take it.
100%. 100%. I would be there. And then so you don't go out for Halloween. Is that due to any superstitions or just being, given that you do encounter ghosts, is it because it's a scary night? Because you are going out this Halloween, right? Is that okay with you?
I told the company,
okay,
this will be my first time in New York City out past dark.
Wow.
On Halloween night.
Really? And are you okay with it? You still don't know? Oh no. Okay.
As my family does, shaking their hand back and forth.
Okay.
I truly don't know what to expect.
Okay.
Haven't been locked up during the pandemic. No parade. I would imagine New Yorkers want to let off a little steam as usual on Halloween night.
Yes. I believe the town will be alive that night.
But I told them that I would do too, and I will be there.
That's awesome.
And make the very best of it.
Yeah. Otherwise, then you can't tell us, for those trick-or-treaters and families and people dressing up, what goes on in that sense, right?
Well, I can tell you, I do know New York children will trick-or-treat. There will be some homes, perhaps one family homes, let's say in the village, for example, that will pass out candy to trick-or-treaters, and you will know by the way the door is lit. But it is storefronts that also always have a bowl of candy for the young trick-or-treaters and the adults for all trick-or-treaters.
Okay.
It is often the storefronts.
Wow.
So yes, New York children do get their Halloween candy, perhaps in a little bit of a different way. And not all neighborhoods and not all doors do it, but they will go home full of candy.
That is awesome. And I've heard that. That's like the big difference in New York, right? The storefronts do it more so than the homes because there's not as many homes.
We're ground floor.
Yeah.
It is usually the dwellings that are upstairs.
Yep. And then so do you know any specific neighborhoods that are more livelier than others?
West Village, for sure.
Okay.
West Village. I would think the Upper East Side, Upper West Side.
Okay.
Chelsea. Obviously, with an apartment building, hard to get to those dwellers.
Right, yes.
But again, if it's a one-family home, if people have access to a door, access to the street, you can ring that bell.
Yep, perfect. And so we kind of answered this. Ghost-wise, best place to be would be?
The Village, without a doubt.
Without a doubt?
Yes.
Like for true ghosts, what we're talking.
Absolutely. Again, one of the oldest neighborhoods. One of the very most, if not it is, the most haunted.
Okay, perfect. And then so you stay home in most Halloween nights. You said the B flick scary movies, right? Do you watch any horror movies? Any scary movies?
I watch them all.
You've seen them all? Any
I prefer the middle of the night in the dark alone. This is how I like to watch a scary movie. You see, very few of them scare me. As a child, monsters wearing a mask that could harm us.
Oh, wow.
Another human can scare me.
Okay.
Witch. As a child, it was the witch that scared me.
Really?
Well, let's think about it. A witch just looks like a woman who's witchy and has a demonic, dark, evil side to her. That is if she's a dark witch. White witches are not that way. But it was a witch that would freak me out.
Really? Okay.
A clown. A puppet.
Yep. Okay.
Those could be a little spooky.
So specific.
A doll starts to move. I wouldn't enjoy that.
You're touching on all my kid, scary things here.
It's the little things, I believe, subtlety that scares us the most. The blood and the gore is, I'm like, really? I was never a fan of zombie movies. Dead people walking around eating other people. Did nothing for me. It's a cult, has a huge following. Obviously, it is The Exorcist. The Omen. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
These are classics. Let's look. Audrey Rose. Audrey.
Oh, wow.
The original Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Sally.
Oh.
Huh?
Oh my God. That's good.
There's a few of them that have very little in them that can scare you the most.
Those are wonderful, the ones you touched on. I mean, till this day, The Exorcist still haunts me. Right?
It was very well done.
I won't even say the turning of the head.
For this year, I believe one of the best written films, William March. I read the book, The Bad Seed. It did a Broadway run for quite some time on Broadway, very successfully. Warner Brothers in the 1950s picked it up. It was so taboo in that day. I remember my Aunt Gina telling me Grandma wouldn't let me watch it. It was too heavy a subject.
Wow.
The only way Warner Brothers would release it is if the cast came out and took a curtain call at the end of the film, as they did on Broadway, because they felt the audience would be too terrified. Today, when I watch William March's The Bad Seed, I kind of have a little chuckle at how camp the movie is, but it is brilliantly written. Unfortunately, really, I don't think we write like this anymore. Highly suggest The Bad Seed.
Oh, wow. Okay, good to know. I'm going to put that one on my list this year. So thank you for that. Okay, so I do want to do this little fun thing. It has to do with Oprah. It's interesting because I was listening to something. I just want to hear your feedback on this.
Tell me what you, in your opinion, believe to be true about the dead. First of all, you believe there's no such thing as death?
Correct.
That it's just a transition.
Right, a transition.
Okay.
Because we're all energy, and energy cannot die. We are all energy. Energy means molecules which move at a certain rate of speed. And at times, but the spirit body lies with the physical body, and it vibrates at a very, very quick rate. At the time of death, we leave our bodies and go to that spirit world. And that's what happens. And when they come back to this world to speak with us and communicate, they slow down their vibration to a level that a medium, a sensitive like myself, is able to pick up these feelings and thoughts.
Just curious on your thoughts on that. That is with a medium, James Van Prague, who
he sounds like me.
Yeah.
It is what I say.
Exactly.
Energy, scientifically proven, cannot be destroyed. When it leaves this body, where does it go? Mystery to me, but I do believe it moves on.
Right.
Whether it is into a plant, an animal, heaven, hell, I do not know, but it does move on eventually. I believe once we pass on, it is an acceptance that we must go through.
Yep.
Just like the survivors that you leave behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
While they are pining for you, you, I believe, wouldn't want to leave them.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I went swimming one day with a friend of mine while living in Santa Barbara. My friend touched me. I never went underwater, but I lost my breath.
Wow.
And could not catch my breath.
Okay.
And my head was dry.
Wow.
Once out of the pool, in the car, on the ride home, my friend asked me what happened. And I did not know. At the same time, I was dreaming of a beautiful white owl. And I told my lifelong best friend, Janae, I keep dreaming of a beautiful white owl. As a Sicilian, I should have known better. When I was young teenager, 15 or 16, a bird flew into my Aunt Lou's house as she screamed and pinned herself against her kitchen. The bird flew from the kitchen into the front rooms. From the corner of my eye, I watched and could see it. The bird's wing pattern in flight. As the bird got closer to me, right in front of me, I snatched it in midair.
Wow.
I then took this bird and put it back out, in which, through the window, it flew through.
Okay.
And this is what one must do to prevent death.
Oh, wow.
I am a Sicilian. I had an aunt, Anna Xoxo. You don't ever let a bird fly in your house. If you do, you put it back out the way it came in.
Wow.
When this baby bird flew into my apartment, it was a finch, and I thought, this is not a wild bird. Maybe I should keep it. Big mistake.
Wow.
The friend that I could not catch my breath drowned.
Wow.
20 years old.
Oh my gosh.
My friend Andy, right after 36, a heart attack.
Oh,
And yet another dear friend, very young, also died.
Really?
They come in three. Death. Usually, Lady Diana Spencer, Princess Diana dies, and a week later, Mother Teresa dies. And that is often I have found the way. This was a baby bird. It was 3 youths in my life that died.
Oh no.
White owl is the symbol of death when you dream. I did not think about it at the time, but funny how I lost my breath without going underwater, and the person that touched me, it was a premonition. I cannot control them.
That is crazy.
It took me a long time to understand. I never know when the premonition is going to happen.
So it was a premonition telling you that death was coming of someone?
But I did not know. I did not realize it. It is looking back. My friend took me for a ride that night. We were in the Silver Lake Hills of Los Angeles. A dark shadow, very big, came over the roof of his car as we drove. He stopped the car. Both of us. What was that? As we looked out the window, an owl landed on the top of the tree.
Oh, wow.
I was looking through his window. As I went to go stick my head out my window, that owl was gone.
Interesting. So what you saw?
I firmly believe that was my friend.
Wow.
Who had come to say goodbye.
Oh.
And so then it all made sense. But it did not, as it's happening, often the way.
Thanks for sharing that story. I do want to leave on one last note, and I'm so sorry for keeping you, Damon. This is a great, scary, spooky way to send off our listeners, right, who have, I'm sure, thoroughly enjoyed listening to everything you've shared ghost related with us. This is, again, another Oprah segment with the James Van Prague, where he asked if people have spirit guides, and I don't know what your perspective on that is, but I'm going to play this, and then we'll end it on. And this is a way people can get in touch with their.
Do we all have spirit guides?
We all have spirit guides and teachers. Some are our family members. Some are spirit guides from lifetimes ago. Some are aunts, relatives, friends.
Do some of us have more than others?
Yeah, we have some that have more than others, depending on the type of work we do, too.
I think I have a team.
I think you do have a team.
Yeah.
And honey, you need a team.
You need a team.
You need a team. You have a good team.
And so you believe that the spirit guides are guiding you? How do you connect to that?
What happens is, what you can do is, and also how you can contact spirit on your own, which I write about, it's at night when you go to sleep. You can ask in a dream, please show me yourself. Please show me yourself. And within 2 weeks, you will see something.
If you do that all the time.
Or a spirit, your friend, a relative who passed over, you will see them in a dream. That's how they communicate the easiest way. The other way is through electricity. Radios, telephones will ring, lights flicker on and off, because they can affect electrically the mechanics of electronics.
Because of the
vibrations of frequency that they're on.
Okay.
And I don't know how they do it, but they do it.
Thoughts, Damon?
This is normal paranormal activity.
Mm-hmm.
I see guides.
Mm-hmm.
My guide is a soldier.
Wow.
For other people, several at the same time have seen the soldier standing next to me. And I thought, funny, I've always felt like a little, like going through field in a tank.
Okay, marching.
A tank.
Okay.
An army tank. And they say there's this soldier standing next to me.
Wow.
I've seen spirit guides. One woman had a little girl next to her.
You can see people's spirit guides.
I saw that.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that many of us have psychic abilities. We are just not in tune.
Right.
For someone like me, who's kind of in the middle, I mean, I hold no master in this field. I only know what I know. I do believe that many of us, through dreams, through sense, have experiences and don't realize that that's what it is.
Yeah.
Perhaps having several, as I have quite a few, I'm learning. Never has my instinct or one of these ever been wrong. I will always question it. I will always question it. Never been wrong.
Never been wrong?
Yes.
So just follow your instinct.
I know I have to. Today, I know, whether I think it's right or wrong, if I am sensing on my skin, on my skin, and I'm saying that, I watched Dr. Oz a couple of weeks ago, 3 ghost hunters, young men, got very excited talking about it. And Dr. Oz said, well, how do you sense? And I just said to my best friend, on my skin. It's on my skin. I had never heard that before. 2 of the ghost hunters responded in unison. Skin, my skin, our skin. And I thought I was validated.
Wow.
Whether the person here doesn't believe me or not, doesn't make a difference to me. For I know what I know, and I have been validated for it.
Yes.
Yes.
And I believe in ghosts. I believe in you. I believe in the paranormal. I believe in the afterlife. So
for this reason, it's the first time publicly I am sharing my story. For that person that perhaps experienced what I have and doubt themselves that no, you saw what you saw. You experienced what you experienced for real. And it's okay. You may not be able to explain it to somebody else, but as long as you know your truth.
I love that. And that's the advice you'd give to people taking away.
Yes. I can assure you it is frustrating to see into another realm with a group of people around you who cannot. It is, I am not the only one to say this, for I have heard other people say the same thing, that they see many spirits around a pool, but nobody else with them could.
Yeah.
For not everyone is gifted in sight.
Yeah. Not everyone is. but I am so honored that you opened up and shared your story with me tonight.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course, it was lovely, Damien. Thank you. Pleasure meeting you. Pleasure hearing your story.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Gossipnista. Your support means the world. If you've enjoyed what you've heard, please be sure to hit the subscribe button and share this podcast with your friends. Can't wait till next week's episode? Follow along on Instagram at Gossipnista to get my latest New York happenings. But if you live and breathe New York City like I do and want even more, go to our website at gossipnista.com, explore, and subscribe to our newsletter to get insider tips first. Lastly, if you have any questions and or scoop on the city, you can email me at gossipnista@gmail.com. Until next time, you know you love me. XOXO, Gossipnista.